This is Xavier with Gotta Be Mobile, and this is the new iPhone 5S. We've got one in each color. On the left is gold. This one runs on AT&T. In the middle is Sprint. This is the new space gray. And on the right is one that runs on Verizon. That is a white and silver. Now, the gold color is all new, and I really like this color. This is my primary phone. It is more of a champagne color. I really like it. And it's the only one that is entirely new. The white one with silver is identical to last year's iPhone 5. And the one in the middle is a space gray. It replaces the black iPhone 5 from last year. The black iPhone 5 had some issues with discoloration that we didn't really like. With any little scratch or ding would show up really easily on this. And part of the problem was that the edges were solid black, as you can see. So right up here, this little bevel is solid black, and if it rubbed up against keys or anything else in your pocket, it would get dinged. You can see here on the iPhone 5S, it's shiny, it's metallic, and it shouldn't have the same problem as the older iPhone. So that's the overall what the iPhone 5S looks like. It's not a heck of a lot different from the iPhone 5. In fact, if it's in a case, you probably wouldn't be able to tell the difference at all, especially if you have a white one. The one thing that gives the iPhone 5S away, however, is this little ring. This is the Touch ID fingerprint sensor. You'll notice on the iPhone 5, it doesn't have that metallic ring, and you have to punch in your passcode to get access to the phone. Now, if you want to unlock the iPhone 5S, all you have to do is tap your thumb here, and that's it. You don't have to punch in your passcode every time. And while I thought this was a bit gimmicky when I first got the iPhone 5S, I didn't realize just how many times I was using the passcode unlock feature, and this has just been a real lifesaver. Some people complain that it doesn't work right, but I found that if you train it properly, if you tap it several times when you set it up, if you enroll both your index fingers and your thumbs, it works just fine. The only problem I have with Touch ID is that every time the phone restarts, it asks you to re-enter your passcode. So in some ways, Apple is telling us that the passcode is more secure than a fingerprint, which seems really backwards to me. Overall, though, this has been a great device. It's currently my favorite phone ever, and I have a lot of phones to compare it to. One of the reasons I love the iPhone 5S is just the build quality. It is a beautiful, beautiful phone. Compare that to the other flagship phones available, such as the Galaxy S4, which is arguably the best Android phone on the market, and there's just no comparison. This is cheap plastic. It sure feels like cheap plastic. This looks like metal at first glance, but it's really plastic all around. The build quality is just not there with the phone. You can tear it apart, tear the back cover off, and you can just see how flimsy it is. Nice. It's got a pretty nice camera. It's got some pretty nice features, but as you can see, it has this AT&T logo on it, and it just feels like plastic. It feels really, really junky. And considering the price point of this device and the fact that it's a flagship Samsung device, it's just too bad that people are sort of getting halfway there with some great software, some great features, but just the overall packaging just isn't there. Compare that to this, it's just like, in comparison, this is a piece of jewelry compared to a kid's toy. Now, the only other Android phone that comes close to the iPhone 5S in terms of build quality is HTC One. Now, this device, again, really, really good quality. It's almost there. It's got a bit of, too much, in my opinion, logos and labeling on it, but the quality is just about the same as the iPhone 5S. Once you get around the details, though, there are some frustrations with the HTC One that I have, but overall the build quality on the iPhone 5S is just excellent. I'll give you a quick tour around the device. You've got your headphone jack, the lightning connector, microphone, and speaker on the bottom. On the back is a better camera. It's 8 megapixels. You do have the dual LED flash. On the older iPhone 5S, there's only a single flash. Now, what does this mean? It means that you'll get slightly better pictures using the flash. It is not going to replace a dedicated camera, and it does not come close to matching the camera off of the latest Windows phones like the Nokia 1020. It's an 8 megapixel camera. It's perfectly fine for taking pictures of your kids or the family dog running around, but don't expect to get huge prints that are absolutely perfect. You'll still want to get a dedicated camera for that. That being said, there's some nice camera features that Apple's built into iOS 7, and you need to have the iPhone 5S to take advantage of them. So on the iPhone 5 and iPad, you still get the same general look in the camera app, but you do not get the photo burst mode. What that allows you to do is just hold down the shutter, and you'll see there's a counter that comes up, and just like that, at 10 frames per second, I just took 57 photographs. On the iPhone 5, if you hold it down, it'll take about 1 or 2 pictures per second, and it doesn't sort them for you. So with the burst mode, one thing that I like here is the iPhone guesses which picture is your favorite out of the bunch, and you can go in here and select your own favorites. Now obviously I took a picture of a stationary object, which is this Galaxy S4, but if you go and take pictures of, say, a kid jumping up and down, it does a really nice job of capturing the moment. Another feature that the iPhone 5S camera has that the other iPhones don't is slow motion video. So if we scroll and select video, go past it one more time, you'll see this little deal here that says slow-mo. By pressing this, we're now recording in 120 frames per second. And this feature is really cool. You probably have never felt the need to take a slow-mo video in everyday life, but I tell you, this is just one of the best things about this little camera app. It's at 120 frames per second, so what that means is it's shooting 4 times the rate of a normal video, and it's going to slow down the action by 4 times. And that's quite a bit. You can get into seeing a detail, like I said, of kids playing sports or your dog running around, and it's really cool to capture a few seconds of time and slow things down. And other than that, I mean, there's not a heck of a lot of difference between this phone and the iPhone 5. If you've seen an iPhone 5, you basically have seen this. There are, like I said, a few features that stand out. The fingerprint sensor is much more important than I thought it would be. The camera is slightly better, partially because of the camera itself, the lens improvement and the flash, but mostly because of the software in iOS 7. Now, the iPhone 5 has been completely discontinued, so you probably aren't going to be comparing that to the iPhone 5 to the 5S, but one phone that Apple did introduce last month is the iPhone 5C. Now, the iPhone 5C is basically an iPhone 5 stuffed into a plastic body, and Apple sells it for $100 cheaper. Now, that might sound tempting at first, but if you start really comparing the two, I definitely think there's $100 of value in the 5S compared to the 5C. First of all, you get a better build quality. Like I said, this is plastic. It's nice plastic compared to the Samsung products and some other plastic products out there, but this metallic finish is just much, much better. The camera in the 5S is a lot better, and if you go into the camera app, I'll show you that, for example, the photo burst doesn't work in the 5C, and you'll see that there's no slow-mo video. So if I go ahead and hit photo, and let's go ahead and do that, and you'll see it's taking a couple pictures a second, but it's not doing that photo burst mode of 10 frames per second. And if you go back here, like I said, no slow-mo, and that just kind of bothers me, is that you have these features that are packed into iOS 7 that launched at the same time as this phone, and you don't get all the features. There's probably about a dozen things that you don't get in this phone that you do get in this phone. It's certainly worth $100 over the life of your cell phone contract, and you'll probably be able to sell this phone for at least $100 more than this phone when it comes time to upgrade to whichever phone it comes after the iPhone 5S and 5C. Go ahead to gottabemobile.com to read my full review of the iPhone 5S. We've also got the review for the iPhone 5C coming shortly. Like I said, this is my favorite phone. I own pretty much all the current Android phones out there, and I own all the iPhones that are currently available, and the iPhone 5S trumps them all. All these other Android phones, there's certainly things I like more about these phones on an individual feature basis, but overall, nobody has an ecosystem as same ecosystem as Apple has, and the build quality here and just the quality of the customer service makes this my favorite phone and the phone I recommend first to all of my friends and family when they ask me which phone they should buy. If you have some grudge against Apple, or there's something that you really don't like about the iPhone 5S, we can definitely recommend some other phones, but this should be your starting point when you're shopping for a new phone in the US. This is Xavier with Gotta Be Mobile, and this is the iPhone 5S.